Let's talk
JSpirations
about it.
Live.
Don't you wanna talk
And
about
now,
it? Let's talk
Miss
about it.
JSpire.
Don't you wanna talk about it? Let's talk about it. Don't you wanna talk about it? Let's talk about it.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Fill Up Friday. Happy Fill Up Friday Live. I am your host, Mrs. JSpire. So excited to be here tonight. Haven't been feeling 100% the last couple of weeks, but I am so thankful that I am feeling better. So I am very excited to be with you guys tonight. If you are catching the replay, then welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. You can still comment, you can still like, and you can share. And so, of course, if you comment, I will come back and read the comments and respond if necessary. So, to anyone that is new to JSpirations Live, that's new to Fill Up Friday, what is JSpirations Live? So, JSpirations Live is a motivational movement. It is a podcast here on Facebook. We also have an Instagram page. You can follow us there at JSpirations Live. And we also have a YouTube as well. I am a motivational speaker. I'm a motivator. I am an encourager. I'm also a facilitator. So if you need anyone to facilitate groups, to host an event, whether it's at your church, whether it's for a women's ministry or any event that you are having in the community, please contact us here on Facebook or, like I said, Instagram as well, or also on YouTube. And we'll be happy to speak with you to come out and host your event. So at JSpirations Live, we believe in having real conversations and talking about real things that matter and talking to real people, right? Talking to people in our community who are tangible, who we can put our hands on, that we can have discussions about things that we're going through and that we can be transparent, right? We believe that we do not have to do life alone. And so we encourage you to reach out. We encourage you to be transparent and we encourage you to share because there is someone who has gone through something that you may be in. And the key word is gone through, meaning that they made it through, right? They were able to get through it and they are on the other side. So we want to be your support to assist you as you get on the other side as well. Hey, Lucy, welcome to Fill Up Friday. And so the next thing is, what is Fill Up Friday? So Fill Up Friday is a time where we come together to talk about what we may have gone through during the week, to talk about whether we filled up on something, or if we come to Fill Up Friday empty. Our goal is that by the time you leave the conversation, that you have filled up and that you are full. So the goal is to fill up someone who came empty. Hey, Crystal. And if you came full, right, to pour into someone else. So that is what Fill Up Friday is about. We also do some motivation on Fill Up Friday. So we always have a topic. It could be based on maybe something that I experienced during the week, maybe a conversation that I've had with someone else that maybe they have experienced during the week, or sometimes just my thoughts. And so tonight, that's where the motivational moment is going to be coming from. It is going to be coming from just my thoughts. So yesterday, as I was sitting and thinking and in my thoughts, I started to think about a mirror. And when I thought about the mirror, what came to my mind is a mirror is not just where you check your fly. right? So we're always looking in the mirror. We're looking to see if our hair looks okay, if our makeup looks okay. We're looking at our fit, right? If we have the long mirror to make sure that we look okay, that we're appropriate when we're going out of the house, right? We look to make sure it's nothing in our teeth, just all those things that we use the mirror. Lucy said, just my thoughts sound good. So, like, we're looking in the mirror to check ourselves out, right? But we're checking our fits and we're checking our fly. So, yesterday, as I was thinking about it, I said, a mirror is not just where we check our fly or where we check our fits. A mirror is also a place where we check our hearts. So, Mrs. JSpire, what does that mean? Well, oftentimes and even myself, I talk about it a lot because I think that it's important. And then my women's ministry, we talk about it a lot because it's important. We talk about not my women's ministry, but a women's ministry that I'm a part of at my church. We talk about it a lot and we encourage it because it's important. We encourage self affirmations, right? We encourage affirming ourselves because sometimes if we don't, then who will, right? Because we're always talking about encouraging other people, making sure we're being nice to other people, making sure that we're giving. And all those things are really important. But we also want to make sure that we are affirming ourselves, right? I may tell myself I'm more than enough. I may tell myself that I'm worthy. You may tell yourself that you're powerful. You may tell yourself that you're beautiful, right? All these things to encourage ourselves, to ensure that we're feeling good about ourselves, right? But the other thing, some of the things that we miss out on talking about is also being honest with ourselves, right? When we look in the mirror, we're able to see our entire faces. And so the question that I am asking you tonight, right, when you're using the mirror, outside of checking your fly and outside of checking your fit and outside of making sure that you look good, it also gives you the opportunity to check your heart. And it gives you the opportunity to ask yourself, do you like who you see? Right? When you look at yourself, are you able to look at yourself and accept who you are when nobody's looking, who you are when no one's listening, right? Who you are when no one else has heard that conversation that you've had with someone else, that you may not have said the nicest things or you may not have treated someone correctly. Outside of just affirming ourselves, are we also being honest with ourselves? Right? Are we able to look at ourselves and say, I don't like what I see in my heart, not our faces, right? We know that we're all beautiful. We know that we were all made in God's image. We know that we put our makeup on, we put our lipstick on, and sometimes we're popping out and we're like, girl, you look good. Right. But that is the outside. But when you look at yourself in the mirror, do you like who you see? Do you like what you see? Are you being honest with yourself about some things that you need to change? Not that physical, right? Not your hairstyle, not the color of your lipstick, not what top you have on, not if you look good where people can see it, but do you like what you see when you look yourself in the eyes? Right? Do you like how you're treating people? Do you like how you are treating yourself? So that is the question tonight. And I had to ask myself that. I don't know why. I don't know, why it popped in my head about this mirror, but I just started thinking about, do I like who I see? What do I need to change? So I'm asking you guys that question tonight as well as we come to the end of 2024. What are we going to do different for ourselves? What are we going to do different to be better, right? A better version of ourselves for ourselves, right? There's no way that anyone can change us except for God. And there's no way that we can change for other people. All the changes that we do, it has to come from within, and it has to be for our betterment. That is the only way that we can be better for other people, right? We want to make sure that we're kind and we're loving and we're giving and we're genuine, right? When we're interacting with other people, when we're doing things for people, whether we're going to church, whether we're going to the grocery store, whether we're at work, whether we're dealing with our families, all those things are important, right? But the changes that we are going to really make that's going to last are going to be the things that we change in ourselves and that we change for ourselves. Okay. We've all dated before, right? We've all had, I don't know if there's men watching, so I'll say we've all had girlfriends or boyfriends, right? And we're dating them, and there's some things that we may not like about them, some things that we wish that they would change, right? And so we're like, if I love them, if I, give to them, if I do things for them, then they're gonna change. They're gonna change because they love me. They're gonna change because they want to be with me. They're going to change because they need me. They want to change for me. But how often have we been in relationships with people and they don't change because, or if they change, it's temporary, right? And as time goes on, you kind of see them going back to their old ways. The reason why that happens is because they're not changing because they want to change or they need to change or that they're changing for themselves. They're changing for you. Right. So anything that they're doing it just for you, it's going to be temporary. Right. So that's what I'm saying for us when we need to make those changes for ourselves. And in order to make those changes, we have to be happy with who we see in the mirror. And we have to be honest with who we see in the mirror. So the rest of the year, and don't wait to make a New Year's resolution or say, I'm going to make these changes, January the 1st. No, start to make those changes now. What do you need to do to become a better version of yourself? What topics or what conversations do you need to have for yourself and with yourself that's honest, right? That's where it starts. The change starts with being honest with ourselves and saying, this is something that I need to do better. This is something that I need to do different. This is something that I don't like about myself. And people may say, well, you shouldn't say that there's something that you don't like about yourself. But let's be honest, we're not perfect. So we can always make changes. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't like it. It just could mean that it doesn't become you, right? It doesn't look good on you, right? That you can look beautiful on the outside and on the inside, you're hurting. On the inside, you may be ugly. On the inside, it may be all those things that you need to puke up, right? We were in revival earlier this year, and Prophet was saying, puke it up, right? Like all those things, like puke it up. We have to, when your stomach doesn't feel well, your body rejects it, right? If you eat something you shouldn't eat, you drink something you shouldn't drink, your body rejects it and it makes your stomach hurt. And then once you puke it up, you start to feel better. It's because it was foreign. It didn't belong there. And so that's what I'm telling you tonight. All those things that don't become you, all those things that isn't serving you well, you need to puke it up. Right. And in order to puke it up, you have to be honest with yourself and say, it doesn't belong here. This isn't my portion. Right. It doesn't belong in my body. It's foreign. Right. And so you have to begin to make that change. Right. I can tell someone all day that something doesn't become you. Right. You shouldn't wear that, or you shouldn't eat that, or you shouldn't feel that way. But me telling someone else that, if they don't see it, if they don't feel it, if they don't understand it for themselves, then it can't change. Right. I haven't been feeling well, I don't know, probably since the beginning of the year. I've been having issues, with my tummy. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat earlier, Or maybe I'm not going to eat this. So I'm going to eat this, but I'm not going to eat it at 6 o'clock p.m. I'm going to eat it at 12 noon, right? And it's going to give my body time to digest it or whatever. Right. But what I have found over the last couple weeks is it wasn't when I was eating it. It was the fact that I was eating it. I didn't need to eat it at all. It wasn't good for my body. And so my body started to reject it. Right. My body started saying, if you're going to put this in here, then I'm going to respond like this. Right. Because it didn't belong there. So now that I'm eating different, I'm starting to feel better. And it doesn't matter whether I eat at 9 o'clock in the morning or whether I eat at 6 o'clock p.m. I feel better, right? Because I'm doing something different. I'm doing something better, right? I'm giving myself things that I need. And so my body's not rejecting it. My body's not pushing it away. And so that's the same thing with our heart. That's the same thing with our mindset. We have to be honest with ourselves and say, no, I can't partake in that. I can't say that. I can't participate in that. I can't do that. It's not good for me. It doesn't serve me. So tonight, I encourage you to take a look in the mirror. Have an honest conversation with yourself, right? Have that conversation. And when you have that conversation, that means you're beginning to speak life into yourself, right? So if there's things that you said that you shouldn't have said, if there's things that you've done that you shouldn't have done, it like for to yourself, to anybody else, because sometimes we're not good to ourselves, right? We're not good to ourselves sometimes. It's not just about other people, but it's to ourselves. And so, yeah, the affirmations are good, but what do the affirmations really mean if we're not being honest? If you tell yourself that you're kind, but you haven't really been kind, then there's a contradiction. And God doesn't work in confusion and he doesn't work in contradiction. So you can say, you know what? I haven't been kind, but I want to be kind, right? That's being honest with yourself. And then that's when you're starting to affirm yourself. I haven't been kind, but I want to be kind. And this is what I'm going to do to be kind. I'm going to start speaking kindness to myself, and I'm going to treat people the way that I want to be treated. I haven't been kind to my body because I've been eating whatever I want to eat, but I want to start being kind to my body. So now I'm going to change the way that I feed it. Right. I don't know. I haven't been doing what I'm supposed to do at work, but I love my job. Right. So I'm going to start giving 100% instead of just doing halfway because everybody else is doing halfway. Right. Just anything that's going to make you better, whatever your it is. Right. Whatever that reflection is that you see in the mirror when you look at yourself, whatever that thing is. Right. That's what I want you to start to focus on. Don said, looking in the mirror will help us reflect and plan better for 2025. That's absolutely right, because we're always making these resolutions about what we're going to do in the next year. But what are we waiting for? We don't have to wait until the clock strikes midnight, right, to start doing something on December the 31st. We don't have to do that. We have the ability to start right now, right? We have the ability to do it. We have the ability to do it right now. So tonight, I encourage you to have an honest conversation with yourself about whatever your thoughts are, about whatever your feelings are, about whatever you're feeling in your heart. I encourage you to not just check that mirror to check your fly, but to use that mirror to check your heart. Right? You don't have to go forecasting it to everybody about this is what you're going to do, why you're going to do it, and how you're feeling. It's great to be transparent, but there's some things that we have to do by ourselves and on our own because we have to get started. As we get started, we may be able to have accountability partners. We may be able to have conversations with someone else about it. But tonight, I encourage you to start that conversation with yourself and to start that conversation with God. He will give you the strength, right? He will give you the patience. He will give you all the tools that you need to be able to move forward. You guys know I'm always, as transparent as I can be. Like I've been knowing for a long time that I needed to shed some pounds, right? Um, but then when I started not feeling well, I was forced to start shedding some pounds because I just wanted to feel better, right? I just wanted to feel better. And so I didn't go broadcasting to everybody, oh, I'm trying to do this or do that. I started having a conversation with myself about what's important to me. How important is my body? How important is the way that I'm feeling, right? And God has given me the strength, He's given me the patience, right? But He also had to nudge me a little bit to do some things. But I had to start having the conversations with myself about things that I wanted to do in the way that I wanted to feel, right? And so that's the same thing with everything. And I was having a conversation with my mom a couple weeks ago, and she and I were talking. She's on here, so I hope she doesn't get me. But we were talking just about kind of like how we can be assertive, right? And so we were talking about, like, do we have fire in our mouths, right? Like, do we have fire in our mouths? It's like sometimes I would say something and she'll be like, girl, you talking rough, right? And I'll be like, well, mom, I didn't mean it like that, and that's not what I said, and I was just saying. But that's a conversation I have to have with myself, right? Because if I'm talking to someone and that person says, you're talking rough, or, you sound like you're being mean, I can say, well, that's not what I meant. And that's not what I said. But that person's perception of what I said is important. Right. Especially if I'm talking to that person, because it's that person's feelings, it's that person's thoughts. And so, although I can say that's not what I meant, right, or I didn't mean for it to come out that way, then it did. Right. So I have to have that conversation with myself about how do I come off to other people, right? Because just like my opinion and my perception of things is important, so is that person's that you're engaging with or that you're talking to. So that's going to have be a conversation or a reflection that I have to have when I'm looking in the mirror, right? Because we know that words are important and words can go either way. So that's something that I know I'm going to be working on, not in 2025, but I have to start working on it now, right? Because if I don't start working on it now, what type of effect will that have on my 2025? Right? What type of sometimes, you want to definitely like see yourself a certain way, but whether we want to believe it or not, or we want to buy into it, the way that other people see us is also important. Right? We know that God gives us favor. We know that what God has for us is for us. And we know that no man can stop what he has for us. But we do know that our attitudes can sometimes put a little halt to it. Right? The way that we interact, our obedience or disobedient, all those things, it doesn't mean that God isn't working. It doesn't mean that God isn't doing his part, but it's us just being us. And sometimes we can hinder the progression. We can hinder the movement, right? Because God already has it set up for us, right? But sometimes how we get there and when we get there, sometimes it's just because of us being us, right? And not being who he has called us to be. So check your fly, but also check your heart. I love you guys so much, and I'm so honored that you took some time tonight to hang out with me here on JSpirations Live, Fill Up Friday Live. Thanks to our Fill Up Friday faithfuls for jumping on. Crystal, I'm excited to see you here tonight. Crystal was one of our first guests early on. And so, Crystal, thank you so much for being on tonight. I see a couple other people on. Y'all know I don't always like to call out folks because I don't want to miss anybody, but I see Lucy on here, Peggy on here, and Don as well. So, I know there's a couple other people, but because you didn't comment, I can't necessarily see you. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. Make sure that you like, that you share, the video, because we want people to check their fly, but we want them to check their heart. When we check our hearts, we're going to be, hey, Janice, JY. When we check our hearts, right, and our hearts are well and our hearts are healed. Listen, you don't even have to use that mirror to check your fly, because it is going to shine, right? Rihanna says, shine bright like a diamond, right? So it is, I'm left, my husband would be like, are you serious? You said that? But that's what happens when we check ourselves and we check our hearts, right? And our hearts are healthy and our hearts are healed. Then we don't even have to worry about using that mirror to check our fly, because we're going to be fly regardless, right? It's going to shine like the love, the healing, the freedom. All of those things are going to pour out of us, and we're going to be fly in our sweatpants. We're going to be as fly in our sweatpants as we are in our black tie attire, right? So I encourage you to check your heart. And when you check your heart, then you're not even going to have to worry about your fly. So listen, y'all, enjoy your weekend, practice some self-care, do something great for yourselves this weekend, like regardless of what it is, something that makes you feel good, something that fills you up. You know, when we talk about self-care, it doesn't have to be about getting your hair done or getting your nails done, right? Those are things that cost money, and we may not always have money to do that. Hey, Jenna, so happy to see you too, girl. I miss you. So we're not talking about things where you have to spend money or you have to go out and do things, but we're talking about taking a nice long hot shower, right? Reading a book, something that you enjoy, writing in a journal, having a healthy conversation with a friend or a family member, affirming yourselves, right? We talked about that tonight, but being honest, but just doing something that's going to replenish you, doing something that's going to make your heart happy, right? A happy heart is a healthy heart. It's a free heart, right? And that's what we want you guys to have. So I love you. Enjoy your weekend. And as always, be JSpire.